Hey, how are you? I am Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Fantasy Six Pack to talk about Sunday Night Football. And boy, oh boy, I say this every time, but this game should be a doozy. The Baltimore Ravens head all the way to the West Coast to take on the Chargers in SoFi Stadium. Lamar Jackson versus Justin Herbert. This defense versus the Ravens defense versus the Chargers, the kickers, Tucker versus Dicker. I mean, we have a lot of action to take place in this game. But before I get into that, make sure you get to the website and at fantasy6pack.net. When you get there, tell them Beastie sent you. There are a ton of premium options. You can pick which one is right for you. Now that the holiday season has officially kicked off, there's no harm in buying one or two and giving them away as gifts and or using them yourselves. Everything you need is right here at Fantasy Six Pack. You have seasonal playoffs coming up. That's great. We have one of the better collections of sports and fantasy football rankers on the planet, not to mention a heck of a DFS and sports betting staff that includes me, Dave, and Keith, and the rest of the guys and girls here. It's a great time to be a part of the Fantasy Six Pack. Now, when we look at this one, Baltimore at the Chargers, kickoff is promptly at 8:20 p.m. Over the years, and especially this season, these videos have been, 15 plus minutes, almost closer to 20. And when I looked back through the algorithms here, the normal viewer only views this thing from 6 to 8 minutes, okay? And that's great. So I'm going to give folks what they want. We're going to keep this one short, sweet, and simple in the 8 to 10 minute range. And more than I'm telling you now, we're going to get it done because I want you to get what you need out of this video. I want you to put together winning DFS lineups and to win cash. And I also want, more people to see the videos. Views are always a good thing. So let's get right to it. As I said, Baltimore at the Chargers, over under 48.5 total points. I'm looking at Baltimore -4, or do we take the over? We'll get to that. Let's start with Lamar Jackson right now. The Chargers, 31st overall against opposing quarterbacks. Lamar, 17.5 on FanDuel, 12 grand on DraftKings. I have Lamar 21 to 22 completions, 250 passing yards, a touchdown through the air, and a touchdown on the ground. As I have Lamar 9 to 10 carries for another 50 yards. So Lamar has a great chance at getting right to that 300 all-purpose mark with 2 touchdowns, one in the air and one on the ground. When we look at Justin Herbert, this kid is phenomenal. He's a superstar, but what's holding him back? What's holding this team back? Is it Coach Staley? I don't know what it is, but when we look at this week, Baltimore second overall against opposing quarterbacks. Newsflash, the Ravens defense is unbelievably good. They're along the lines of the Cleveland Browns in a way, who are playing, or by the time we see this video, that game might be done. Herbert, 16.5 on FanDuel, 11 grand on DraftKings, 25 to 26 completions. He's going to have to throw the ball. Throw. And I have Herbert, 275 to 280 passing yards in a pair of touchdown passes, along with 3 to 4 carries for another 20 yards. So you're looking at Herbert, Lamar. Again, when we build our lineups, we're going to start with one of those guys. I would prefer Lamar. Let's get to the running backs here. And long gone are the days of mentioning the backups and the guys they called from the practice squads, because in this game, when you look at the Chargers, it's Austin Eckler, and that's it. Why mention, Kelly and Isaiah Spiller, when we want to get these videos dialed, when I want to get this video dialed in, best for you. So let's start with Eckler. When we look at this thing, Baltimore right now, 14th overall against opposing running backs. Eckler is the do-all-everything guy for this team, the Swiss Army knife. He's 14.5 on FanDuel and 10 grand on DraftKings, 12 to 13 carries for around 60 yards. And I have Eckler, 4 to 5 receptions for another 40 yards. Does he find the end zone? It's looking at this game and the final score and the wide receivers and the tight ends to get to. It's tough to project Austin Eckler for a touchdown, but if it was to happen, that it would easy peasy on the ground. He's their everything, as I said, goal line back. It is what it is. When we look at the Baltimore Ravens running backs, Gus Edwards, this young kid Keaton Mitchell, this big play kind of guy. Let's start with Gus. Chargers 24 4th overall against opposing running backs. Edwards, 12-5 on FanDuel, 8-6 on DK. I have Gus the Bus, 11 to 12 carries, 50 yards, and a touchdown on the ground, and a reception or two for around 10 yards. Nothing crazy. When we get to Keaton Mitchell, now we're talking. Keaton Mitchell is one of my favorite plays tonight, just based on where I'm seeing ownership percentage from some of the wide receivers and a guy like Isaiah Likely or Donald Parham, and we'll get there. But when you look at Mitchell, 8 to 9 carries, 35 to 40 yards, and a reception or two for 10 yards. And again, that is that receptionage or yardage is a floor projection, right? Kid could catch one pass for 30 or 40 yards and boom, we're rolling. It'd be, I know normally that's my thing in written work and in broadcasting work, but to me, Keaton Mitchell, keep him on your radar. He's a salary relief option in a way as well. And let's go to the wide receivers. When you look at Zay Flowers, OBJ, Bateman, and Aguilar are in play, but let's talk about the rookie Zay Flowers. He's getting all the action, and rightfully so. The Chargers are 30th overall against opposing wide receivers. I see a big game from Zay and OBJ. Flowers, 11 grand on FanDuel, 8 grand on DraftKings. Zay, 7 to 8 targets, 5 to 6 receptions, 65 to 70 yards. OBJ, and before I get to OBJ, Zay and OBJ have questionable tags, but more than likely will play. I don't even think that's a question, just to let you know that. When you look at OBJ, 10 grand on FanDuel, 6-2 on DK, 5 to 6 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, around 50 yards. So to me, in a single game slate, you can put Lamar at the MVP in cash. If you're going to play one of those $1, $2 GPPs, I would put Zay Flowers in the MVP captain spot, and then OBJ and Lamar. Just that trio of Lamar, Zay, and OBJ, I would just rotate them. I'm sure you got $3 to $5 where you can put each guy at MVP, and then the rest at in the captain spot MVP, and then the rest in the flex, and you can toss in Likely, and we'll get there. Bateman and Aguilar, 3 to 4 targets, 2 to 3 receptions. I have Bateman 40 yards, Aguilar 25 to 30 yards. When we get to the Charger side of things, I mean, what other way are we going to go other than Keenan Allen? But I will tell you, Keenan Allen, questionable tag. He'll play. Baltimore, 4th overall against opposing wide receivers. But again, him and Herbert are just like simpatico. It reminds me of the Beetlejuice, when Beetlejuice looks at him and goes, "Hey, brother, simpatico." And they got the same black and white placard shirt on and the khakis, and he tickles Gina Davis. That reminds me of Lamar and Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, 15 grand on FanDuel, 11-2 on DK, and 12 to 13 targets. I'm not kidding. 9 to 10 receptions, over 100 yards receiving, and a touchdown reception. That is an anytime touchdown bet if I've ever seen one. Quentin Johnson, granted, everybody's made fun of him. He's stunk. He can't catch, butter hands, stone hands, however you want to put it. But it's a single game slate. Our options are limited, and he's only 8-5 on FanDuel, 3 grand on DraftKings, 4 to 5 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, and around 40 yards. Darius Davis is in play, but I want to mention Jalen Guyton briefly. 8 grand on FanDuel, 2-4 on DK. As Guyton has been able to practice, this is the time for Jalen to really shine and do his thing. And this kid is a speedster, and this kid can catch one pass and completely change the game. This kid can catch one pass and just be gone for a 50, 60, 70 yard kind of touchdown. I have Guyton, 4 to 5 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, 40 plus yards, and a touchdown reception, and we will move on. When we look at the tight ends here, we're at like the 9:15 mark of the video, and it's perfect. It's Isaiah Likely, and everybody else at tight end is just like looking back, right? Because Mark Andrews, we wish him the best. Hurt his ankle and his leg. Looks like he'll be back earlier than we thought, right? So I saw some people fighting. Some guy that wasn't a doctor said he broke his leg. It was his tibia and his fibia, and the doctor said, "Yeah, I know the tibia and fibia are are a leg thing, but you can see there's certain portions of it that are still connected to the ankle that are the tibia and fibula. So while Mark Andrews broke his ankle, it can still be a tibia a fracture. When you look at likely, see that's the kind of thing that happens that throws the video for a loop. I go on a tangent for a minute or two. Likely, the Chargers are 25th overall against tight ends. Likely 7-5 on FanDuel, 5-2 on DK. 5 to 6 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, 40 to 45 yards, and likely will catch a touchdown pass from Lamar. I have Lamar throwing 1 touchdown, and more than likely, it will be to Isaiah Likely. When we look at the Chargers tight ends, Everett and Parham, Baltimore, very good. 4th overall against tight ends. Which way would I go? I've always been partial to Parham, and when you look at both guys are $7,000 on FanDuel, Everett 4.8 on DK, Parham 4.4 on DK, 3 to 4 targets apiece. I have Everett 3 to 4 receptions for 30 yards, and I have Parham 2 to 3 receptions for 20 yards. When you look at the DSTs, I would prefer the Chargers, the Ravens. I have the Ravens 3 to 4 sacks and an interception. When you look at the Chargers, 2 to 3 sacks. But I have them intercepting a football and a fumble recovery. But the only difference, when I always say that points for, points against don't matter, I have the Ravens, as I said, only allowing around 17 points. And I have the Chargers allowing 27 to 8 points. So to me, I would prefer the Ravens DST. Just gave away the final score. If you're paying attention, when we look at the kickers, Justin Tucker, Cam Dicker, Tucker, 3 for 3 extra points, 2 for 2 field goals. You know what you're going to get. And the Chargers 7th overall against kickers. Couple final betting trends, and we'll get the heck out of here at around 12 to 13 minutes. Not bad. Baltimore 6-4 against the spread their last 10 games. The over is 5-5. Baltimore's last 10 games. When you look at the Chargers, they're 3-6-1 against the spread their last 10 games, and the under has come in 7-3, the Chargers' last 10 games. One more recent betting trend, and it's not even, it's just something that the Baltimore Ravens do very well. And I'm looking down at my notes, and I'll tell it to you, and we'll get the heck out of here. The Ravens' running game is what gives them the edge here tonight. That's no secret against the Chargers. Baltimore leads the league with an average of 155.1 rushing yards a game this season and has averaged 187 yards per game their last 3 contests. So the Ravens, 187 yards rushing on average their last 3 games. They also lead the NFL with just under 2 rushing touchdowns a game. And when you look at the LA Chargers, they've allowed the 5th most rushing touchdowns per game this season. Baltimore's going to run all over the place, whether it be with Lamar, whether it be with Edwards or Mitchell. So give me the Baltimore Ravens to win this one, 27-17. I'm going to take Baltimore minus the points and give me Baltimore to win this thing, 27-17. Be good, be safe, and I will see you again very soon. And I will share some sample lineups of tonight's game, not only on my Twitter at Detroit Beastie, but on my new fresh and clean TikTok. So make sure you're around to catch all that. I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.